and then we'll just do it here. So as the acting chair of administrative service, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 8:37. Can we have a roll call, please?
Thomas.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Greeno. Kunkel.
Yes.
Althoff.
Yes.
Hendricks. Godemaller.
Seeing as how we do have a quorum, barely, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Seeing that from Mr. Kunkel, seconded by Mr. Thomas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Is there any public comment? John, can you look? There's nothing on that list, is there? No public comment. Are there any member comments this morning? Seeing none going on, there is no new business. Presentation. I think this is Alex, an update on the shared and privatization services. I know he sent out the document for all of us to look at previously in an email form. Appreciate that much, Adam.
Sure.
I held up the wrong one.
And it's Alex, not Adam.
Oh, what did I say?
You said Adam.
Adam, did I really? Alex, I'm sorry.
That's no problem.
I'm old. So,
Well, good morning.
the floor is yours.
Good morning, though. My name is Alex Wall. I'm an administrative intern at the county here, and I'm also a Master's of Public Administration student at Northern Illinois University. But to start on this update on shared and privatized services, McHenry County has continually worked on collaborating with departments to essentially better understand how county services are provided, where to improve service, and ultimately contain costs. This project has been an ongoing long-term update of two lists, essentially from 2016, regarding intergovernmental agreements between departments here at the county or between the county and external government groups, as well as privatized services currently offered by each department. This project was specifically a collaborative effort between me and department heads, directors, and elected officials to discuss these services. Most of this collaborative effort was done with in-person meetings and follow-up meetings throughout the past few months. I, in total, have collaborated with 20 McHenry County departments between both lists as presented here. What stood out to me is that the largest expansion of shared services between intergovernmental groups has arguably been the Sheriff's Office since 2016. And lastly, as a new student in the profession of public administration, updating both lists has been quite eye-opening for me.
Alex, can I interrupt you and just note that both Joe Godemaller and Terry Greeno have joined us. Can we have a motion to allow them to participate electronically? Mr. Kunkel, seconded by Mr. Collins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Welcome, you two. Sorry. All right, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Alex.
I don't see them in the meeting. Let me just refresh this, but I don't see anyone in here.
I should be both online.
Okay.
Are you there? Joe said he could hear.
Joe Godemaller or Terry Greeno, can you hear us?
Ooh.
Joe Godemaller, Terry Greeno, can you hear us?
Now I can.
All right, excellent.
Now I can.
Excellent, thank you. We've already voted to allow you to attend by electronic means, so welcome to the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alex is just beginning his presentation on the shared and privatized services.
Yeah, so basically to summarize, I've worked in total with 20 different departments since the start of this internship here to update both lists from 2016. I'll reiterate that the county has worked on collaborating with departments to update these two lists since the start of my internship here. And and that this project has specifically been a very strong collaborative effort between me and department heads and directors. So but with that, in summary, if there's any questions, please let me know.
I guess the question, and I thank you very much, because obviously this took a huge amount of effort and time, so much appreciated. And obviously, I think our original assumption is when we do this, we're saving the taxpayer money. However, we just had an unbelievably excellent conversation with the Sheriff's Department about the fact that he is bringing, medical services back in under our control as opposed to providing that through a third-party vendor. So I guess my question is, as you did this, did you come up with an analysis, or do we still have to do that? Is that step 2 on evaluating the cost savings of all of these collaborations?
Yeah, I believe that that's out of the scope of this project.
Okay, so that's phase 2, kind of.
Yeah, correct.
Yes, phase 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are examples of services and Tom's here, like housekeeping and maintenance. Some of that work is done by county staff, people on the payroll. But then there's some times, like when it's done down at Crystal Lake, at our facilities down there, we find it more cost effective to outsource that. So we kind of keep looking at those things, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. And just in that same vein as healthcare, we've been doing it with private services, but maybe now because of the profit motive, it makes sense to bring in that side again.
Mr. Collins?
So does that, based on what you just said, does that mean that something on this list may be both outsourced and in-sourced as well?
Probably the exception, John, but yes, it
Okay.
could. It could.
Okay.
So then that is the next question, is we have the information about where that is occurring, those shared services. Is the intent then that we'll go back and evaluate whether or not this is actually saving money, or if there's an opportunity to do it in a different format? I mean, again, I look at it and I go, okay, now what do I do with this?
Yeah, and I appreciate that. But I guess I wasn't imagining it as an all at once, 3-week project where we look at every single service. It's just kind of an ongoing process, and that's why it's been, I think, so valuable for Alex to kind of force these discussions with our elected officials and department heads, just to remind them of what is being done in a different way. Most of these services could be done with a county employee, and we've made the decision along the way to outsource it or to partner with another government. But just kind of, faces change. Their elected officials change, department heads change, and this list was initially created, I think, in 2016, and Alex made it better and helped grow it. But it's a constant reminder of what the services are that we're providing and how and who's doing it.
Pete, if I could just add, so the intent of this is really to give you an inventory of what we do, whether it's an outsourced service or something we have an intergovernmental agreement, we're collaborating with another partner to do, to really just give you that landscape of that work and how we're delivering services alternatively. Each time these come up, it's incumbent on the department to really ask that fundamental question: does this make sense? Is this in the best interest of the department, the operations, the county? And similarly, part of that equation is, does this make sense for our partner as well? Because some of what we do really takes advantage of our economy of scale. As a county working with our municipal partners, sometimes we can do things that would benefit them, and it would really be at little or no cost to us. So when we want to look at just kind of the equation of the cost, sometimes it's really hard to conceptualize. But each time a service comes up, I think that's part of what you ask us to do as your administrators, as your operations, to say, can we do this more effectively in-house, or does it make more sense to outsource or collaborate or maybe contract with another unit of government? So as far as doing an overall comprehensive, put a dollar sign to each one of those, I think that would be probably a massive undertaking that wouldn't be done anytime too soon. I mean, we can provide, work at it. If there's something you really want to see, we can extrapolate those costs. But also too, since 2016, we've been into these agreements, working on them, constantly tweaking, constantly asking that question of, does it make sense? And a lot of other things change as far as the cost of delivering the service, the cost of labor, the cost of materials. So that's an ever-changing equation as well. But we just really wanted to put in your hands what we do, and really, quite frankly, to tout the fact that it's a very extensive list, and we wanted you to appreciate that. So.
Mr. Kunkel?
Most of what Scott said is to my point. There's no sense trying to eat the whole elephant in one bite here. I think you got to look at stuff that is far enough outdated, and maybe we look at those things more specifically rather than burn up all of Alex's time to do this line by line. And there's some things that there are normal checks and balances say, yeah, we know via the market that this is still good and working for everybody. I don't think anybody is trying to put their budget in jeopardy by doing the wrong thing with these collaborations. But there are some probably that are starting to age out, like the healthcare at the jail, that now it makes sense that we take a bold look. We may be right back to hiring it out, but we may not. So
Or some kind of hybrid.
correct, or the hybrid, right.
Mr. Thomas?
So for the folks that haven't been here in 2016, has this list grown or gotten smaller, or is this the exact same scope of work?
I think it's bigger, in particular on the intragovernmental work, sharing of services. Yes. That's in part in the focus that the county's played on that and the leadership that Sharon has shown there. Yeah.
So, okay.
You know, we have, I know it's not really through privatization, but we have about the same number of employees that we had in 2016. And that's probably more a result of technology than it is privatization, but it's some of both.
Okay. So the folks are doing probably a little bit more than they were in 16.
With technology.
Yeah, wear more hats. Okay. Thank you.
And I'm harping again. I appreciate this, but moving forward, I don't expect you to provide cost figures for every single one of these. That, you're right, that's ridiculous, too much time. But maybe we could take maybe the constitutional offices that we have agreements with and make an evaluation so the county board members are aware of what you're doing and how you're evaluating that, so that we can be more responsive to our constituents and have that information more readily available to us. And again, that's a suggestion, and I leave it in your hands to try and figure out what makes the most sense with the resources you have available. But it would be nice to know how internally you do make those evaluations, right? What variables and components do you use to make a determination that the program is still financially viable and still saving us money? That's the only thing I would ask. Thank you. Joe, Terry, do you guys have any questions?
I'm fine.
No, I don't have any. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're done. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Moving on to our routine consent agenda. Are there any items anyone would like removed? Mr. Kunkel?
7.2.
Anyone else?
That was fine.
Then can I have a motion to approve the routine consent agenda minus 7.2 as presented? Mr. Collins, Mr. Thomas, can we have a roll call vote then too? Thank you, Kathy.
Collins,
Yes.
Reno,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Kunkel,
Yes.
Godemuller,
Yes.
Altoff.
Yes. 7.2. Do you want to ask the question?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Godemuller. And a seconded by Mr. Kunkel. Discussion. Mr. Kunkel?
At the last admin, we said we were done with these, or then somebody did say there might be a couple more coming.
This one was on the last day. I said it was coming back.
Oh,
And I do appreciate the breakdown, and it's all there, and I don't want to start harping on more and more, but we did talk about this in the latter part of last year, last fall, about the idea of having these things. Obviously, as department heads, you know your personnel, you know your people, and you know good people who are working and deserving of these. it'd be really great if we would put these into budget and know these are escalations to the budgets for that reason, rather than coming to us afterwards, because we all know this escalates our cost year over year. This isn't a one-time ask, and this will be detrimental to that budget next year. So it'd be nice to look at the budget in June, I think this year, June, July.
We're gonna do a budget kickoff in June.
And with the budget kickoff and say, and by the way, we have some stellar people that have been needing to be moved to the rank and to the dollars, so we can at least mentally prepare our own minds and physically prepare our constituents with the idea that there are certain budgets, certain departments doing great work that need more money. Because some of us, maybe not all the board members here, are getting lots of pushback with this Doge. And the more they find in federal government, the more they are just sure the same thing's happening in McHenry County. So we're gonna have to more than ever dot our I's, cross our T's. And I especially hate to come back when a budget looks really, really sweet in November, and then immediately in January, February, we're asking for more money to be added to those departments. Again, this was a soapbox thing, but more information helps me pre-sell and have less fire at home.
I don't disagree with anything that you said, so it's nice soapbox. Do you want to explain?
No, good with this and understand this and love the breakdown now, because now we see the actual truer numbers.
I don't disagree with anything you said either, Matt. I appreciate that. I guess what I would, the only thing I would say to that is this really only came to a head starting about November for me, when the broadband breakthrough cohort work that I've been doing has really started to ramp up when the state released right before Thanksgiving, I believe, the final map that we have to work with. And I've been doing a lot of work with that. And what that has done is caused this position to absorb a couple of the things that I started doing when I started here 7 years ago that I didn't have the time to do anymore. And they were enough fiscal responsibility or contract enforcement responsibility or just my responsibility. This person filled in for me when I took time off. I don't remember the last time I did, but was already filling in for my approvals. And it caused, excuse me, post-November, early this year is really when I went to the HR director and I said, can you take a look at this? I don't believe this position is right-sized. She came back, did their thing, came back to me and said they agree. I apologize for the timing of it, but at the same time,
we do a lot of these, and as I said, and most of us here who watch and actually know the beans that are being given these positions and the raises, we're fully behind that. But that's not where we lie in this aspect of it, and it is going to get more serious over the next 4 years. The scrutiny's on, and people that I hear from a core group, but people that I've never heard from before are now calling me and asking me why I'm spending their taxes. Now, personally, I'm not, but
right.
So I'm just making it public that we have to be careful with that and work a little more diligently in June, July.
And so that brings up the question, and I just throw it out to my colleagues. During our budget discussions, you know, it's as the sheriff did, I want X amount of new patrol officers, but I'm only gonna budget for X because I know that we're trying to, I think it's to prep us that there are things that may be in the weeds that aren't certain, and you don't wanna budget for that and inflate that budget. On the other hand, what happens is then you come back to us and we have to do more supplementals. So I just think, again, that the information exchange is extraordinarily important for exactly that purpose. If we're gonna be that entity that's responsible for telling our constituents how we're spending their money, we need to know those kinds of things, that's all.
This was no personal call.
No, not at all.
Just a chance to get on my soapbox.
I understand and appreciate it, not a problem.
Mr. Collins.
And you've answered all my questions that I had, but I just want to caution us, when we use terms like, we do a lot of these, that can send the wrong message to our constituents. I think that yourself and HR does an admirable job trying to look at these and present us ones that are needed for very specific reasons and not just because. And I think that's important that we understand that message as we move forward with this process. Because as anybody who owns a business, is like you gentlemen do, things are constantly changing and things are constantly in motion. There's things that pop up and happen that cause us to have to reevaluate positions or jobs or what may happen, what may go on or take place. And it's important we have that
Good.
flexibility to do that.
Good comment.
Make sure that, we're focused on that.
Mr. Kunkel?
But in business, and I realize this organism is not quite the same, when we run into those things and we have a budget, we live and die by that budget. And that means when this has to happen in the real world, in our lives, we cut. We cut. And if we can't cut, we must escalate sales to make more profits to do that. All of that genre doesn't fit in this realm. Yes, we can cut here at the county, we sure can. But it's the aspect of creating sales, and it's not sales for it, it's just raising people's taxes. That's why I'm putting the specter on this. And percentage to 1,000 employees, give or take, whatever we're at with that, and how many I've seen of these, just in my little tenure here, 2.25 years, we've done quite a few percentage-wise, more than I would like in my own business. But I do understand what you're saying. It's all great. I just want to get out ahead of it, especially in June, July. That'll be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call.
Kunkel.
Yes.
Greeno.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Gottemoller.
Yes.
Altough.
Yes. We have no old business reports. Capital plan update.
Good morning. We'll start at Crystal Lake. As you know, the Crystal Lake approved our revisions to the drawings. Those drawings actually had to be redrafted and have been submitted to Crystal Lake. We don't have a permit yet. We expect a permit in 2 weeks or so, which keeps us on our track for a March mobilization. We're going to have a kickoff meeting either the last week of March or the first week of April for that project and get rolling with it. Staff has moved out of the nursing side. All the furniture that needed to go with them is gone with them. Some materials have been recycled, so it's ready to get going on. We're just waiting for the green light from Crystal Lake. We move up here to this campus. Doc Rain has received bids back for the renovation of his morgue lab and office area. He's working through the various add alternates to the base bid, and we'll come back with a resolution next month in April for review and discussion with all of you. Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Are
Sure.
we going to get a pre-look at that, or is that just going to come to us in resolution?
Yeah, you might want to check with Doc Rain on that. I haven't, other than letting him know what some of the things that we felt we could live without were, we're really leaving it in his hands to make an argument for what it is that he needs for that project, and to serve his needs there.
It's not going to be presented as an
There'll be a la carte pieces?
Yes, there are
There will be
individual
elements
line
that you can
items.
see where incremental cost is.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Very similar to the parking lot project here, where
Great.
those lines stand.
That's what I was hoping that
Yes.
we get a little bit.
And
That's
there's
great. Thank
there's
you.
more choices as well. on
Sorry
this.
to interrupt.
No,
quite
that's
all
a
right.
good question. Thank you.
There's a few. We come to the parking lot. We did receive pricing back from the contractor to add in the cure and seal product onto the concrete. It was a reasonable cost of just under $4,000 to do that work. We have a pre-con scheduled, I think it's March 24th, I believe, to kick that project off. We're hoping to get going on the northeast quadrant of the back parking lot. So the back parking lot will be divided in half. We'll begin on the northeast. We'll move to this piece of we'll then move out to the front, take on this side piece here, and then it'll finish with the link out to the Ware Road. That piece will get done, and then surface will go over the whole parking lot over a weekend. And we'll do some temporary striping in between, and then we'll come back and put surface over the whole lot and stripe it. There'll be, Lindsay in our office is working on a communication plan to department heads. She's reached out and talked to department heads, but as far as what, I think we're looking to move 60 people off this lot, including pool vehicles. We'll make ready across the street for those vehicles to go. This coveted space off to the east here will become free game for people that want to get here early, and if they want to park there, we're encouraging them to park across the street so they can get their steps in. However, we'll leave that open. We'll ask for a commitment for a certain number of people. We'd like to see more. And it's really, we need to focus on the committee of the whole, some of the zoning meetings where we expect a lot of the community to come and participate. Those will be kind of as they go. We'll have a 1 week look ahead, and we'll reach out and say, hey, we really need to go to Plan B. We'd like to get another 20 cars off because we expect participation greater than normal here. So won't be perfect, but we'll do as best we can with it.
For like, if you anticipate large crowds, we put like a police officer out there to kind of direct people across the street to park and things like that.
I don't know, it's pretty crowd that large.
I don't know, just asking.
Well, or some type of signage that basically explains, and directs people.
That's a good reminder. Woodstock police help us out when we tell them we got an issue. They don't want to have problems.
Yeah, no, I just throwing out there.
No, it's a good point. Thanks. Yeah, right. We hadn't considered that, but we can throw it in the mix. Just Lindsay loves the added challenge. She does. I know she does. So I think we have a pretty good plan right now. It seems solid. Obviously, something's going to change, and we will adjust to that change, whatever it might be. On March 26th, the equipment that belongs on this roof will be shipped from the manufacturer. We expect about a 7-day delivery for that. We will then, as it arrives, we will pick a Saturday, a Friday afternoon, late Saturday, Sunday, to bring a crane out, lift the equipment on the roof, remove the old equipment, lift the new equipment, terminate electric and gas to the equipment, and get it running for Monday. We don't expect on Monday that everything will be tuned. We'll need to bring it into our building automation system and work through that. But we do expect, because of the time of year, this exactly why we schedule it for April. We shouldn't have a big heat demand or a big cold demand. So we think we'll be in fine shape. Again, we'll be responsive if we're not. But by Monday, at the end of that day, or certainly Tuesday midday, we should have good control over the equipment. And then from there, it's just the fine tuning of the schedules, et cetera. So that's progressing well. Contractor met, they seem to be solid on their plan. They've committed to the resources to work the weekend to get it done with the least amount of impact to our building use. At Valley High, we've completed the additional devices that Woodstock FD's consultant asked for. Post review of their drawings, they came back on walkthrough and asked for another smoke detector, and which created another resubmittal. And those reinspection is the 13th of this month. At that point, typically we get a pass-fail at that meeting. That will then go downstate along with the test and balance report. It will complete our package owed to IDPH. Hopefully they're under review of the balance of the project. Hopefully that will not take long to get back. I know Tom scheduled an open house.
Yeah.
So let's hope we can get going on getting people in and using that great space in April.
Any questions? Ms. Greeno, Mr. Gottemeyer, any questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
No.
Human Resources, Suzanne, want to come up? Good morning. How are you? Good. Okay, so very, very excited to let you know that just a few days after we met last month, we successfully finished the negotiations with the ASME Corp probation's contract. We met for 5 hours. We went back and forth. We found a happy medium.
The union has ratified, and it's my understanding that the chief judge has given his nod to the contract as well. So you won't see that contract like we have the other contracts, but I just want to let you know that that was a success.
That's got to be a record.
Well, they've been sitting open since the end of November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll make the record, the actual
How fast the gap
negotiations.
goes.
Yeah. Yes, we closed the gap very quickly. I think we brought them together and let them know that their ask was just too big and that we needed to bring it within, something that was reasonable. And we had a good back and forth, and I think everyone will benefit by it. Probation has struggled in hiring and retaining, so I think this contract will help them. So we're happy to check that off. No more union stuff this year. Next year, lots. So fair warning, there's 5-ish contracts that we'll be doing next year. So we'll certainly work it through budgets and maybe do some anticipation, but so that will be up and coming for 2026. Also for 2026, as I hear a lot of conversations, something to kind of remind you and put on your radar, it will be another comp study that is based on the new policy, how it reads. So we will be working through another comp study in 2026. Very preliminary to even talk about it, but Pete and I had a conversation with our existing Archer group just to kind of start strategizing, understand, where the focus is and where this is going to go for the next year. So those things are kind of out there, but certainly on our radar. Our wellness group is really, really blossoming. I think you've probably been seeing a lot of their challenges and things. Deborah's doing a really, really great job. She focuses on the 6 pillars of health, which, this month we're focusing on finance, which I think is really helpful for the employees to get an idea of, really where are they in their financial health. Stress brings absenteeism, brings lack of productivity. So the more we can help the employees to feel good and well about themselves, the better it is. So real happy with that. We are at 0.5% under our goal to meet our 75%, but I have friends at IPBC, so I think we'll.
They may give us that little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's within a margin of error, because again, it's based on how many do we have enrolled and how many tested, so it's a little bit of a moving target.
Changes every week.
Yes,
I mean,
every
the
week.
number of people we have on staff changes every week.
Yes.
So
So
I
it's,
appreciate we got close enough to get the benefit of the doubt.
yeah, so we are right there. I will be meeting with them next week, so I think we'll be able to bring that home, and that's very exciting. So
Can I ask, do we see, since we've initiated, the wellness part of our insurance, our coverage, are we seeing a decrease in the claims? Are we seeing some kind of correlation between the fact that we're encouraging people to take better care of themselves so that they're not sick? Are we seeing that? Do we evaluate that?
We need an actuarial for you today, I think. We really got these numbers down.
yeah, so we get the aggregate data from Northwestern, so we know overall what the health is of our employees, so we can focus our efforts on the shortcomings that we're seeing. In regards to IPBC, they also take all of that aggregate data and help them focus on the different programs that they offer as well. You'll see a lot of free programs coming out of their Blue Cross Blue Shield. There's Hinge Health. There's a diet plan called Amada. So they start doing a lot of that as well. We just had a meeting yesterday with IPBC in anticipation of the 2026 rates that are coming out now. And a conversation that they had with us was around the pharmacy. Weight loss drugs are really spiking insurance costs. It's been a tremendous increase. But I think what they're seeing in trend for IPBC as an overall is, a lot of people didn't doctor during COVID. There was a huge decrease because people couldn't get appointments. They weren't doing voluntary operations and things like that. So that's a little bit of an uptick. But they're seeing a very increase in like the middle range of claims. So that's now, I think, everybody getting back on board of, let's get that, you know,
Routine.
that procedure done. Let me get this done. Let me get that done. So they're seeing a trend of ebb and flow right now that it's not real 100% clear. But they always, IPPC focuses a lot around wellness and health.
I'm just really pleased that we do,
Yes.
you know, do that kind of an evaluation as the year goes on.
We
So
have caught a
thank
couple
you.
of things that might have been catastrophic. Right?
Oh, absolutely. I think honestly this year we've probably saved 3 lives.
Wow.
To where those employees got calls from their doctors and they said, we need to see you right away.
That's great.
One went right to the hospital. So, because again, no one really knows what that underlying issue is and what's going on. So preventative is always, you know, key. So, so we're good. So all good stuff there. I did want to share with you as well. So part of the wellness committee, they do meet on a regular basis every month, and they have, now that we have our break room back downstairs, because Joe Terrio has graciously moved out of the building so we can keep a break room. We're kind of just doing a little redesign, and I can pass this around, you can see it, making that space a little more accommodating for employees to go and have a space where they can have their lunch, they can decompress. This is all paid for by wellness dollars from IPPC. There's no cost to the county. They manage their budget very closely, and I think it'll just be a nice space. So we'll be doing a little more of that around the county, and investing in employees in their spaces. So just want to let you know that that's in the works, and that'll be coming here shortly.
We look outside too, because I know that we do things when the weather's nice,
Yeah.
that there's opportunities for people to go and eat their lunch outside, and
Yes.
so we're also looking at that as well.
Yes, I've actually spoke with Tom in the idea that part of the parking lot redo, they're putting in a cement area for outside, and the wellness committee would like to partner with that and do like maybe a pavilion or something that would give some shelter so that we could have some additional, because it gets hot back there.
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
I've been out there
it's
serving.
like
It gets hot.
beating sun down there. So if we could create the outdoor space and get people outside, you know, during their break time. So I've talked to Tom about partnering with that
That's
program
great.
as well.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah. Let's see. We're just wrapping up the final training for our new managers. We used to do that in a big group. We're bringing it into the HR department in a smaller group because I feel like newer managers aren't as comfortable as coming forward to ask questions in a big group. What we saw in the trainings was a lot of managers that have been in place for a long time, so it was a review for them. But we really want to focus on our new managers to make sure they're the most successful moving forward. So we're just about finished with that, and we'll probably roll that out right here at the end of March. So other than that, next month, we're going to be reviewing vacant positions in the turnover report. That's always a fun topic.
Sounds good.
Hope to have that out to you before the meeting so you have a chance to look at it. We can have an open discussion with any questions that you would have. Otherwise, we are just humming along super busy. So,
Any questions? Mr. Gottemoller, Ms. Greeno, any questions?
Not for me.
Seeing none, thank you very much. Excellent report.
No,
I'm sorry.
I was going to say great job.
oh, thank you, Terry.
Communications, Alicia.
All right, good morning, everyone. Alicia Schroeder, Director of Public Affairs. Pleased to give you your monthly communications report. This was submitted with the packet, so I'll try to keep it high level, but if you have any questions, feel free to stop me at any time. So our PIO network is regularly meeting bi-monthly to share ideas about communications best practices, give presentations, etc. We were pleased to have another meeting this past February and went off very well. We were pleased to have a report from our Lake in the Hills Police Department, so that was very informative. Also collaborating with our Regional Office of Education to spread the word about, about the McHenry County Regional Spelling Bee and how sponsors are needed to send one very talented young person to the Scripps National Spelling Bee. Also, Educator of the Year awards are open right now, so if there are any teachers in your life, now is the time to send your nominations to Diana Hartman, Superintendent of Schools. Also, we are pleased to work with the Planning and Development Department to get out the word about our new SmartGov permitting portal. So again, kudos to our Planning and Development Department, and we work with our county clerk to put out information about elections. So those were our shared communications efforts this month. Coffee hasn't quite kicked in yet. But I'd also like to take a moment to talk about the State of the County address. Chairman Bueller does a great job every year, but behind the scenes, there are also comm staff that provide some of the footage that goes along with his address. The footage of Longmoto Bridge, or photos of, the sheriff's office and, the regional training center. And we were really pleased to have the partnership of our sheriff's office, our folks in the Kane County Public Information Office, and the Department of Health to share some of that footage. So again, it really brought it to the art level, I thought, this year. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Kevin Craver, who helped, do all the editing on that film too. So he did a great job. That being said, so last time I did not get the opportunity to really talk about how awesome of a job our Facebook account did in January. It was off the charts for us as far as reach went. We reached over 300,000 accounts. And again, that is huge for us. In 1 month, we reached as many accounts as we did in all of the year of 2024. So that being said, right now, this month wasn't as great as January, but again, we reached over 100,000 accounts this month alone. So again, we're doing great this year.
My mom follows it in Florida.
That's great.
Thank you, Pete. But again, just so you guys get an idea, we have reached we've had over 1.57 million impressions on our Facebook page alone this year. And that's all unpaid. So again, that's just one account. So just had to really push that out there. Yes, our followers are increasing. We've had 189 new followers on Facebook, et cetera. You can read that stuff on the report. I don't want to, talk at you too long. You could also see on the next page of the report the highest reaching posts that we had this time round, and of course the highest post by engagement, the stuff that people are actually interacting with. So if you're curious about Facebook this time round, the Manufacturing Rotational Internship Program was an absolute hit this month. We reached over 41,000 accounts. People just for some reason really, really were touched by that program this year. And if you recall, that program made it so our young folks could intern with our local manufacturers, and it was funded through the Advanced McHenry County program. This year, since our 3 years of funding, had expired through the Advanced McHenry County program, the Illinois Community College Board decided to step up and provide some of the funding for this year. So again, that program has continued, and that was something that you all made possible. So just so you know, it's very popular within the community. Other important posts that people are interested in is, of course, weather advisories. People are always very interested in understanding where, the weather is, are the streets clear, that sort of thing. And of course, the McHenry County Craft Beverage Trail. We love our naturally McHenry County here.
I like the craft trail.
But again, there's, of course, Woodstock, Willie, and again, I don't want to, read the entire list. You can see it broken down. But if you have any questions for me about communications initiatives, stuff you'd like to hear more about, just let me know. I'm always happy to help.
Any questions? Joe, Terry?
Here for a minute. I want to just.
Well, you're next, so yeah. Makes sense.
So the last 4 days we were in DC, and yesterday was a real accomplishment for McHenry County, and Alicia was able to get us meetings with all 4 representatives and both senators, and an extra meeting with Duckworth Transportation staff members. So it was a very full day. We were out there Saturday, Sunday, Monday for the NACO conference, and the NACO legislative conference, and it's unlike any time I've been out there, right? It's just a lot, energy on both sides really high. what the backdrop of everything right now is that the government is going to shut down on March 14th. And it's a compressed time to make some very, very significant decisions. We had the opportunity to talk with our delegation about, the proposition of limiting tax exempt status on municipal bonds, and how that can have a detrimental effect for our school districts and municipalities and such. But it's all part of the equation for how we're gonna get a new budget, or at least
Can you give a broader of the, saving money here, and give it a little bit broader perspective that we heard.
What happens with the municipal bonds is the federal government is proposing taking away the tax exempt status of municipal bonds, which would cause a couple percentage increase on the interest for municipal bonds. That doesn't sound like a big deal at first, but what it does is it makes it so that the municipalities have to, pay more money over time, which again, when municipalities are paying more for their bonds, where does that come from? It comes from the taxpayers. So again, and how do your school districts and municipalities get those revenues?
To Pam's point, though, it increases revenue for the
For the
federal
feds,
government.
but.
Which
there's a
helps
direct
reduce the amount of money that the federal government needs. Right. There are lots of discussions about Medicaid, and when we're at the NACO conference, Medicaid is important to counties, more important to many counties than it is to us, frankly.
A lot of rural counties as well.
Right. So, we had a good dialogue with all of our delegation and just things that are important to us. It was different in the sense that so often out there, we'd like, money for this trail or money for this bridge or money for this road. And we kind of didn't do that so much this time. And we have a few projects that we talked with individuals about, but it was more about, in this time of change and high energy, how can we, as one of your counties, Mr. Congressman or Ms. Congressman, how can we help you communicate with your constituents and just be available for ongoing dialogue as things move ahead. So it was a good meeting. Good job. She's an Energizer bunny on Capitol Hill and had us running around.
She's got a great deal of respect by the staff, which is extraordinarily important to us to get to that individual legislator.
And we also had the opportunity to go to the Federal Agency Expo, which for me was helpful because it allowed us to connect with the intergovernmental affairs staffers of the different agencies that we have contact with, get their information. So if we have questions going forward, we can have the folks that we need to reach out to and ask. So I was very happy about that.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned jail healthcare, and you guys have.
Are we going to administrator report now?
No.
Are we, okay.
Yeah, I've just got a couple more things.
No, for communications, or are we on your
I'm sorry,
report?
We've shifted.
No, I just want to make it clear.
Yeah.
Here,
Stage
Are there any other questions? Okay, please.
When we had the introduction to the proposal to kind of bring portions of jail healthcare, all jail healthcare back in, we had that last month with law and government, or was it last week? It was last month. And we talked about bringing it to administrative services too, and I think that makes sense. I think we need another month, and in my conversation with Sandra and Sheriff Tillman, they need a little more time to get more information in so we can have a more concrete discussion with this committee and with finance and law and government, but that is coming.
And again, please remember that that's a constitutional office, and they get to kind of formulate their own plans and ideas. This is a courtesy of the sheriff coming to us to explain what he's doing and how it impacts the county.
Right. Tom, I'm glad you're here because we had a discussion out at Transportation Committee a few weeks ago about when we had our recent snowstorm, there was an internet outage and impact. It did have a negative impact on DOT and how they're doing business, but it also been probably more importantly, it impacts Valley High. And we have a double internet pipe into this building. I'm saying this right, Tom, but with redundancy, but it's only a single pipe that goes out there. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? And we're going to be meeting next week, Tom and I, and Tom Manarella, and Joe Kopolsky, and Adam. And I include Adam because this is a significant investment, and you can pay for it month over month, or we could wait till more private money comes into the system, to build it out. But anyways, we're going to get up and get more information on it.
It wasn't just an internet outage. It was a internet and
AT&T ASE, which is their network product. So both of those services went down. So we have 2 pipes coming in here, right? And right now it's NIU and it's AT&T. Those are internet pipes. And then we have a hub and spoke AT&T ASE network that goes out to our remotes, right? So that's how we deliver services to those remotes. That ASE network was down.
Just
So
here,
even-
just for us, that network was down,
No,
or was it a
It
broader?
was more regional.
Okay.
The actual problem was in Colorado. So it was a regional issue that affected a lot more people than us. So what we've been talking about with Valley High for about a year is that they are so heavily dependent upon the internet. Their medical systems are in the cloud, right?
Think about from the time that building was constructed in 2008 till now,
Yeah.
how much more reliant healthcare is on.
Electronic records and medications back and forth. Yeah.
So we've been talking to them about building some redundancy into that hub and spoke network, and we can bring Comcast in there, right? They have to do quite the build out because they don't have services out there. But we could bring Comcast in there, and they have a product that's comparable to AT&T ASE. I think it's called Comcast ENS, Ethernet Network Services. So we'd have that redundancy if AT&T went down or if Comcast went down. We'd still have that hub and spoke network in place, at least for Valley High and DOT, because we have private fiber between Valley High and DOT. So right now, those numbers are coming in at like, if Comcast eats the capital build-out cost, which is around $180,000, they don't really eat it. They expense it over, the life of the contract, right? So I think it's around $5,500 a month. Haven't had that conversation yet with Valley High or DOT. Also looking into Valley High delivers TV services through satellite. If we brought that into Comcast, would that affect the rate? So we're looking at that. So it's kind of a work in progress.
The other thing I have in the back of my mind, and I haven't even talked to Adam about this, but I know that private entities are now bidding on these planned area internet units all over rural parts of Illinois. And if we were fortunate to have that come sooner, we may further get our costs down.
Mr. Kunkel.
That was my question, because I know with this ongoing with rural, and by God, that's rural out there for fiber optic. So my question is on that, if we could cool our heels and wait for that to come, is there a patch like Musk satellite link, or is there, what DOT did now is they all got on their phones and used them as hotspots, and they were able to put this through. And I realize it was an egregious task for them. I'm not asking for them to have their phones ready, but is there something else in some sort of a satellite patch that holds us until we could?
We do have Starlink out there as a backup.
Oh, you do have it now?
Yeah, we do.
And it didn't, but that's at Valley High.
It works, but it's at such degradation compared to every day. So it still seems like it's down, really. I mean, Valley High is getting the majority of that traffic through quality of service, right? So we make sure that they're able to do the life and death things.
So
Right now,
DOT is
getting
a minor
locked
patch
over.
for DOT, but it's not for Valley High.
Pardon?
So that might be a minor patch for DOT, but not for Valley High.
It's a better patch for Valley High.
No, well, there's no patch for it.
Well.
Yeah, I don't know that.
One thing I guess we have Starlink at Valley High, and like I said, that's shared with DOT, but the majority of the bandwidth goes to Valley High, right? So we could put another Starlink, I think that's $1,000 a month or something. We could, plus the investment in the equipment. We could put another one out at DOT, and that could potentially, be
My
okay.
thinking is if they're coming for bid for fiber, and they know we need this also in advance, it won't be a surprise to anybody who's coming to bid for fiber. Can it get rolled into some help for fiber?
I mean, we can wait. We've been waiting for fiber for how many years now?
A gazillion.
It's at least 6-7 years we've been waiting,
Long time.
right? We can wait. It's totally up to everybody involved, it's not my money to
But
spend.
the bids are opening up now, right? I mean,
Well, Matt, last month you were saying you were looking at the map. Valley High and DOT are actually beat eligible. They're on the map as beat eligible.
Right. And my only thing was, I'm not saying I'm opposed to any of it. I'm just saying, I'm looking at how far out in the world is that. And definitely want to know what the dollars are, because maybe the patch is the $5,500 or something. I don't know.
I did get a quote from NTI, who does our fiber work, right? So they do our fiber work, Kane County's fiber work, and they said it's around 1.6 million, give or take, to run fiber out there.
It doesn't surprise me.
From here.
No, it doesn't surprise me. And are we looking at, I know the last time we talked about lots of security, and are we looking at that too as we look at enhancements?
Always.
Okay. I just want to make sure, yeah.
You're talking about network security. Yeah.
well, thanks for hanging around, Tom. That was more discussion than I anticipated, but I wanted you to know this is kind of.
The other thing that, came up with that is like we have Verizon Cradle Point backups at the other sites. Like we have that at Animal Control, we have that at ROE, but Verizon was having issues at that time too. So just looking at ways to create some more redundancy.
Ms. Greeno, Mr. Gottemoller, do you have any questions?
No, glad to hear that we're working on it, that's all.
Ms. Greeno?
Well, I do, but I think they fall more under administration and then maybe future.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Tom. Just two more things quick. If you notice when you leave the room, that we've started a little bit of an office fresh up under Kathy Bau's vision and leadership. We've moved some pictures around and she's got some other ideas for things.
Saw that.
We're trusting, but I want to create kind of a new look for all the presentation of our current pictures and historic pictures. Want to put a fresh coat of paint on the wall and create kind of a county board member gathering spot. We have empty space or unused space, underutilized space. And got to get a conference table. I think we can all do all this for about $1,000, and we've got the money to do it. But I wanted to see this is going to be coming in the coming weeks, so it'll be nice. I think I'd like to put our logo on the wall, our MCH.
I'd like that. I'd like a new logo.
Last thing I have next. What are you holding?
I'm holding the recommended changes for the Ethics Commission. Is that for Scott?
Yeah. Go ahead, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you. So your Ethics Commission has been meeting since June of 2024 to review the ethics ordinance. After 6 meetings, a very diligent and comprehensive review, they've recommended a series of changes which are presented to you before in summary form and in red line form from the Ethics Commission. This is presented to you just to get it in your hands at some future meeting, and we'll get Chair Gottemoller on when it will occur. This committee will be the one to review those changes to the ethics ordinance, to deliberate. The Ethics Commission liaison is Terry Greeno, so she has been a part of this and can help provide some insight onto these discussions, along with myself, who is at every meeting. Also, too, Lisa Schuler is our Ethics Commission liaison backup, so she was at many of these meetings as well. So if there's any gap slots, she can certainly fill those in, I'm sure. But just wanted to present that to you. If you have any questions between now and whenever this comes on your agenda, please feel free, reach out to me. If you just want some more insight, I can help maybe shed some light onto it. So, thank you.
Ms. Greeno, do you have anything to add as the liaison?
No, I know that it's very thorough.
Great, thank you.
Finally, just next month I will have for this committee kind of my own self-evaluation of performance on 24 and 25. And that kind of kick off the evaluation process, so we move into May to do an evaluation for the county administration. Thank you.
Ms. Greeno, you said you had some questions?
Yes, and I don't know whether this would go under administration or future, but 2 things. When we were talking about the increase in the one position and the impact on the budget. And I know tomorrow in the Finance Committee, there are the public defender positions that they're bringing up to be comparable to the state's attorney's positions. One of the things that we had been talking about in regards to the budget was to get more of a quarterly perspective on where we stand, because we have had some areas where we've had some decreases, and where does it all net out? Because when we're talking about June, that's the 7th month of the budget year, and it's still gonna pull us up short. And I was really hoping that we might be seeing more of a quarterly perspective on where do we stand on budget versus actual. So that's one thing that I would request, that we don't put that off until June, and that gets out, you know, to the board members' hands. The second thing is, I think it's important going into the budget for us to understand, and there may be a way, I know that Carrie's been very careful showing us how to access things on the website, but if for example, we have roughly a $264 million budget, we've got like 1,300 employees, but when we break that down as to what employees are under different aspects by positions where, say for example, the Sheriff's Department, and how many of those 1,300 employees are in the Sheriff's Department and what part of the budget goes there, that we can see this and be aware of it ahead of time. And it's not too soon. This is not something that should wait until June. So if it is available, helping everyone to understand, oh yes, you can see this right now. If it's something that needs to be pulled out and identified more clearly, then that would be helpful. So really those two areas, budget versus actuals for the first quarter, and then also looking at a whole as at the county structure, even to the point of not all of that, and we've talked about this, not all of that budget is coming from the levy, the property tax. So these types of things, I think that we can start really getting into like now. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, I've scribbled some good notes, Terry, so I appreciate that. I think I can work with Carrie and develop something like that, perhaps some of that even as soon as tomorrow for finance. She may have some of that ready to roll.
And do we want to do that like we did the other, and run it both through finance as well as administrative services? You'll get a bigger bang for your buck with regard to.
I'd like to see that breakdown between the Sheriff's Department. Yeah.
I think so too. Is that kind of what you were thinking too, Terry? Both finance and administrative services?
Yes, I think the more the better. So.
More eyes on.
Yeah, I think it'll be easier for administration staff if you're educating more of us prior.
It certainly reduces the questions in the end when nobody has seen it but one committee. That's,
I agree.
Really helps.
I agree. If that's, yes, I mean consensus here, that would be appreciated?
Yep.
Is that okay?
Yeah, and yes, absolutely. We can try it one way and present it, and maybe we can, I have a vision of almost more of a chart or a pie chart or something like personnel by fund, where you got like, of our 1,200 employees or 1,150,
Alex, I'm saying work for you.
38% of them are general fund, and something like that. But rather than, I don't think we want a line by line of 1,300 or 1,200 employees.
But maybe instead of line by line, maybe just category by category, bigger, yeah. And visuals are always appreciated, but numbers are good too.
Yeah, I prefer the numbers over the pie. You wouldn't know that by looking at me, but I do.
And I don't know if you want to do it individually or, I know in the past we could have, a combined committee meeting at the end of one or at the end of finance and bring people in, and then you don't have to do two specific presentations, you do one, and it's a combined two committees.
We've done that in the past, but
I
it's
just like
up to
the
you.
information,
Yeah.
even if it's just to.
Well, and to be able to ask questions about how it's presented. But does that kind of answer then too, Terry? Are you good?
Yes, thank you.
Any future topics except for the one that we just discussed? Executive session isn't necessary, so I'll take a motion to, do we have anything?
That's just reminding, we're super excited for the strategic plan meeting, what date? Courthouse?
Sure.
April 23rd, it'll be a strategic plan workshop for those who've met with their facilitators already. Thank you so much. For those who are scheduled to meet today or tomorrow, look forward to a great discussion. This is your opportunity to meet with them directly and provide your thoughts and insights to your vision, your objectives, also what you hear from your constituents. But please make sure April 23rd, if you can mark that on the calendar, that's an important meeting. That's where the rubber hits the road for all the strategic plan process. I want to report on February 27th in the afternoon. We did have our key stakeholder meetings. We met with our partners from the Housing Authority, the Conservation District, the Mental Health Board, Natural McHenry County, MCEDC, MCC, McCog, and they all came together and shared their thoughts. This is all be compiled, provided to you for, I call it strategic plan fodder, to let you know what the outsiders are thinking, and then that way you can help build your strategic plan.
And can we get our report card again about where we are with our strategic plan as it sits today?
Every month, that is updated.
I know, but I'm just saying, can we put that as part of the packet with everything else that you're sending us? I'm just thinking of new board members. It would be helpful to have it all together.
Fantastic idea. We can just,
Can
yeah, we keep that going. Appreciate it.
And the Valley High Memory Care Unit Open House is 8:30 to 10:30 on Thursday, the 20th of this month. I think you got an email on that.
Yeah, we did. So there being no further business, can I have a motion to adjourn? I already saw Mr. Thomas, Mr. Kunkel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're done. Nice meeting. Thank